So there was this song called Magic Stick. 50, it was a Lil Kim song featuring 50 Cent. The song became a big song, and this was when 50 was on fire. This was when Get Rich or Die Trying was out.
He was like the only rapper.
He was like the only rapper in the world, right? So the song was huge. It was one of Kim's biggest songs in quite a while. 50 didn't want to do the music video.
Oh, okay.
G Unit went on Funk Flex and did a freestyle. And 50 just went in. And it was like, this is why I tried to look up the lyrics to it, but it was like, basically, the lyrics were something like, I gave Kim a hit, I wouldn't do the video and shit. And, she caught an attitude, got in her feelings. Why would I care about her feelings? She's not my bitch. To the point where Flex had to stop the freestyle. Because then, like, Lloyd Banks, wait. Flex had to stop the freestyle. Like, yo, 50, like,
wow.
We got to chill out. And I think something may have even happened after that situation. But I mean, like.
It's like a shooting or something?
Possibly.
Something?
Possibly. When I brought it up to Tony Yayo, he kept trying to switch the subject. He kept switching, like Yayo is the fucking master of not answering a question he don't want to answer. He will talk over you. He'll switch the subject. He'll try to bring it back. He won't let you bring it back and so forth. But like, this is just from my own memory banks. This is for me actually hearing that freestyle on the radio, living in New York at the time, listening to Funk Flex on the radio. So a lot of it goes into like, I'm older than a lot of the dudes who are in this space, so I have a memory of certain things that you can't look up on Wikipedia.
And that's good that you were persistent with it, because for me, I like don't remember that story that well. So if I had asked Tony Yayo that, he would have been able to shrug it off pretty easily, because I would have just been like, whatever, like, you're kind of overpowering me in this conversation. Fuck it, I'll let you go.
Yeah, so there's a lot. So it's like, hey man, when a person sits down, my goal is to give them their biggest interview they've ever done in their life. And I remember sometimes I'll even tell them that before the interview, and they'll sort of shrug it off, and then lo and behold, it'll be the biggest interview they've ever done in their life.
Right.
That's my goal, because I only have this person for a certain period of time. Whether I pay them or not pay them, our time is valuable all around, and I'm trying to make the biggest impact that I can. So I'm going to ask as many of the tough questions as I could do. I could do as much research as I can, and really try to create this product in real time that stands the test of time, that's evergreen, that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 100 years from now, when all of us are gone, our ancestors could be like, oh, that's my great grandfather. That's his voice.
But
like,
it's interesting that with Tony Yayo, it seems you're developing a Boosie-esque relationship where you just kind of have like a consistent podcast coming out versus like the Rico Reckless and AWOL thing, or the Ari Spears thing, where you create a separate podcast. Like, are you not in love with the podcast format versus the interview?
No. Yayo's working on his own podcast right now.
But for you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're just trying to find the right guests.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, all that. BG Naka is working on his own podcast right now.
Oh, that's
I want all my regular guests to have their own podcast on my platform, if possible.
That's cool.
If it makes sense, but not everyone. It's a lot harder to do a podcast than to just sit with Vlad and shoot the shit for 2
Yayo,
hours.
You're structuring it. So we don't really know, like, what does Tony Yayo sitting down with a guest talking for an hour? Like, I mean, anything could happen. We really don't know what his podcasting style might be like.
We're about to see, but we're willing to invest some money into it and see what happens. This might be. You gotta understand. Like, I gave Mob James not his first interview, but his first like big interview, and that triggered a whole career for him. The Gangster Chronicles. They have a deal with iHeart and so forth. Like, he's turning this into a whole career. He was just a dude. A Mob Piru dude that was just used to be down with Death Row. Now he has a fully legitimate business. He pays taxes, and he could support his grandson and everything else like that. Like, this is dope to me. Even if it's not with me. If they run and do a whole thing, like Tony was like, like the world gets to, I'm like reintroducing myself to the world now. Like, this is great. He loves what we've done together.
Right. No, it's dope. It's interesting when you think about, so I remember when the Call Her Daddy breakup happened, that I got some insight into what Barstool's contracts look like for a sort of entry level podcast, and I believe the deal was something like $70K a year for each host. And there were some like incentives where you could get like a couple $1,000s extra if your views went up by a certain percentage. But it's interesting because basically that allows them to, and they have this extremely robust ad sales network already, right? So they have no problem blanketing your fucking podcast in ads. Yeah. They get to, I don't know, maybe make millions off of that content. But also they're taking the risk that if your shit is a total flop, then they might lose money on the deal. But then also if they make $10 million, they still get to pay you $70K each per year, which is really interesting because it puts you in a business model where if it's successful, they're not going to be happy with it and they're going to want to renegotiate their contract. And if they're a failure, you take the L and they, I don't know, probably still walk away kind of pissed off.
I mean, it's like having a record label, right?
Yeah.
You don't know which artist is going to blow.
Yeah.
You know, you sign 10 artists and one of them happens to be NBA Youngboy.
All right, people, we just hit 300,000 subscribers. You know we're trying to hit 400,000 subscribers. So that little red button, tap it, tap in. Appreciate y'all.